listening to The Power of Being Positive, helping you discover strategies to unleash the uplifting, energizing, and motivating power of being positive and the awesome effects that it can have in your life. Getting ready to power you up in 3, 2,
Welcome back
1.
to The Power of Being Positive. I am your host, David Clark. This is the second part of episode number 7, where Pete Blank and I cover ways to leave positive impressions in your organization. If you listen to the first part of this episode, you will have heard more information about Pete's experiences at Disney, where he worked for 13 years, and how he worked with leadership, employee engagement, and customer service. In this part of the episode, we're going to jump into the city government experience that Pete has and how he's working with the personnel board at Jefferson County in Birmingham, Alabama. And in this episode, Pete and I uncover what I feel is the key ingredient to making a good impression. So where we pick up in this episode is why exactly Pete loves city government so much.
When I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, I really didn't intend on staying in local government more than about a year. I thought, we left Disney, we moved back to Alabama here to be closer to family. And I thought, I'll do this for about, a year or so, and then I'll go back into the corporate world, or I'll go out and do more consulting and speaking and influence. But here's what happened along the way that I tell everybody. I fell in love with government and I fell in love with the people of government. And that's been sort of a torch I've been carrying, is that I used to be one of those people who would give government employees a bad rap. I used to be one of those people who would say, why don't y'all, this is why y'all work here. Y'all couldn't work in the real world. This is why things take so long, And then what I found is that these people who work here are smart, they are bright, they are intelligent, they love customer service, most of them, or they wouldn't be in here. The problem I found has to do with the processes. There are so many rules, regulations, layers, and where that's one of the main differences is at Disney, cast members are empowered to, there's black and white, but you pretty much live in the gray. Down at Disney, you live in the gray. Yes, here's a rule and regulation, but you can bend it for this guest, or you can try this for this customer. And so that allows you to be creative, spontaneous, and makes you positive because you made somebody's day. You can't do a lot of that stuff. You can do some, and you just got to be creative with it, but you can't do it as frequently in local government. You can't just say, you know what? I didn't realize that you're having a bad day. I know that your tag renewal is $60 today. I'm just going to waive that. I'm just going to waive that for you. Have a great year. This is just some. You just can't do that. No, you could be arrested. You could be,
Yeah.
there are laws, rules, regulations, and policies.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you just can't do. And it's exactly what you said, David. No one wakes up and says, I can't wait to do my government business today. I can't wait to pay my taxes or go to the tax assessor. I can't wait for the Board of Equalization to come out. I can't wait to renew my driver's license. I can't wait to get my building permit. Nobody wakes up and says that because it's just, everybody gets frustrated with just government tasks, which, by the way, government tasks, a lot of them keep us safe, allow us to do work, make things better on the whole. But that's been one of the biggest challenges for me is how can we stay positive? Going back to our positive, theming, how can we get our employees in local government to stay positive and be as creative as they possibly can with their customer service while still following rules, regulations, policies that must exist. I'm more focused on the laws with them. If it breaks a law, we don't do it. If it's a policy that's frustrating, let's look at the policy. Why does the policy exist? How long has it been in place? Why are we enforcing this policy that we put in place in 1972 when really it's not doing any good? Can we update it? Can we enhance it? And when you get the employees involved, they get more excited because they feel like they're changing government for the better. So kind of soapboxy there. I apologize for that, but I just
No.
I just love working with these people all the time, and I just feel like we need to do a better job of all of us, from customers who come down to your county courthouse, no matter what city or county you live in, of just being patient and knowing most of them want to help us. Most of them are positive, but they're just surrounded by rules, regulations, and policies that are out of their control.
Yeah, I can imagine that makes it a lot more challenging to deal with, because I guess for Disney to be more of a a B2C type business on a
Mm-hmm.
retail-ish, I want to say retail-ish kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. I mean, you can, hey, look, fine, you could have that thing, or here's a gift card, or here's something else, because businesses do that every day to kind of
Right.
smooth um, uh, bad experiences. But with government, I mean, the law is the law, unfortunately, and working around it is, I can imagine, a pretty big challenge. And again, that's one of the things is that, when I was kind of talking a little bit earlier about it, is um, the fact that there's no wiggle room. So it's like, sorry, that's all they can say.
Right.
But one of the cool things I think that one of the things that you did cover was, to be creative with your customer service, and to be, because I mean, that kind of goes the same, even like, with banking and everything else. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's only certain things they can do legally because of laws. But again, it's to be creative with your customer service. And, um, and again, to kind of track back just one more step, you were talking about expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about expectations in my mind, is if you look at businesses across the board, because it was a big thing when I was at the digital marketing agency that I worked at for like 11 years.
Yes.
One of my big things that I tried to talk to different people about was, expectations nowadays. If you just meet the expectation that you set, you're a rock star. You are. I mean, if you
You're
think
right.
about it,
You're right
because
on. Yes.
most businesses don't meet the expectations that they set, or they just do a poor job of communicating those expectations. So you leave assumption to the mind and everything else, and they're like, well, I thought it was going to be this. So what I always tried to talk to people about was that expectations are meant to be exceeded. So if you can understand that, and again, part of it is from my sales background was, under promise, over deliver kind
Mm-hmm.
of background, that because before I was at Zeke for 11 years, I was in TV ad sales for another 6. So, again, the whole thought process is, if you can set an expectation and meet it, I mean, you're going to be seen in people are going to love you. And if you can exceed those expectations, I mean, you're going to be the next coming of, um, so again, so that's, so again, I'm loving a lot of the flow on this, by the way, because I'm keeping some pretty big notes. And so, so all right, so how what do you think some of the, on a person to person level, with all the experience that you've got, again, from Disney, government, other consulting stuff that you've done in the past with other businesses, what do you think some of the key factors are, and just, positive impressions on like a personal level? Like, what are some things that you go through in your mind, or again, other experiences you've had that you can kind of convey, are there maybe just a few points of things that we can think about and consider as we walk into our next, meeting, or maybe it's just going to have coffee with a friend. What do you think some of the key things are to make sure when you walk in, it's like, boom, this person feels awesome?
Sure. Well, the first thing is you have to want to be that person. And there's a bunch of reasons why you might want to. Maybe it's your personal brand, that you're like, I want to be seen as a positive person with gravitas, or with, the person that people come to. So whether you really feel that way or not, you want to be that impression on somebody. Maybe it's career growth. Maybe you want to always be positive because you look around at your peers and you're like, everybody else seems to hate their job and not be doing good. So if I just come in and smile and say nice things at work, when it comes time for promotions, they'll go, well, everybody's skill level is easy, but why wouldn't I want to work with Pete instead of somebody else? So it could be career growth. It could be that you want to make an impression on your kids, that we see so many people these days that are just negative. So, going through life and things are so bad and the world is ending and, oh, this is terrible. And you want your kids to grow up just to always look on the sunny side of life and be positive. So part of it, I think step one is just, you have to know, intrinsically, why do you want to be? Because we know who those fake people are, who are always positive, who are like, they come across as campy, and people say no one can ever be that happy, So there's a fine line between faking this and being truly authentic and being truly genuine and just waking up every day and knowing the why behind it and saying, I'm just going to go out there and do the best that I possibly can today. The other thing that I always think about, so number one is to always know the why or behind why you want to be positive. The second thing I always fall back to is more from a servant leadership perspective. It's just in terms of, it's possible I may be the nicest person someone sees all day. So that goes back to your whole meeting expectations. Some people are waking up every day and are going to have a horrible day and think the world is against them and all that. And if I just walk by somebody and say, hey, how are you? Hey, good morning. They may go, gosh, that was strange. And you're like, really? That's all I did was say hello to you? And you found that to be something, something good?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I didn't do anything above and beyond what I would normally do. So I like to think of myself as, I may be the nicest person someone sees all day. They maybe have someone they just found out has cancer. They might be going through a divorce. They might find out that their credit card bill just went up. They might have all this stuff happening. And if I see somebody and have an interaction with them like, hey, hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good weekend. Hey, it's almost Friday, or whatever it might be, not like the fake, oh, every cloud has a silver lining. Well, God doesn't close a door. He doesn't open a window. I mean, those are all nice cliches, but I think, I think people see through that. I think people just want to interact with people who just are nice people and who are positive. I think it makes everybody feel a little bit better. So I guess number one was know why you want to do it. No, number two, you might be the most positive person someone sees all day. And number three, like I guess I'll kind of end with what I said at the beginning. I'm such a big picture person. I mean, I've had struggles in my life like everybody else. I've had family members die of cancer. My mom died of cancer at a very young age. My sister died of cancer at a very young age. I've lost some grandparents. I've got friends who are, transgendered. I've got friends who are going through personal struggles with their relationships. I've got all these things that really are affecting me. And I've got to stand back and kind of remind myself that everybody's going through it. And no matter how bad I think my day is, I guarantee that somebody else has it worse than I do. So I kind of have to always begin with that sort of big picture that, yeah, I may think this is the worst thing to ever happen to me. I cannot believe my car air conditioning doesn't work and it's going to cost $500. I'm going to be in a bad mood all week now. Well, that is bad, but I've got to remind myself that somewhere someone's going to bed hungry, or someone's going to sleep with no air conditioning in their 1-bedroom house with 10 people. So sometimes we just get so full of ourselves that, what do I say, first world problems, that kind of keeps me grounded. So that's probably more than you wanted to hear, but those are my three things I tend to try to think about.
No, that it all makes sense. I mean, and again, I'm 1,000% with you. You leave the impression that you want to leave.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, so at the end of the day, if you want to leave a positive impression on somebody, then you'll leave a positive impression on them. And again, I think that the mechanics of it rolls back into a lot of this other thing, because the other thing, I'm reading another book. It's an NLP book, so it's neuro linguistic programming.
Programming.
I can hardly even say it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it too is that the impression that you leave on someone else is based off their perception. So
You're
that
exactly
even makes
right.
it even more confusing. So, but at the end of the day, people can see through, like you were saying, if someone's being campy or if they're being real.
Hmm.
And you will know if someone's really trying to help you and really trying to leave a good impression on you or not. So it all boils back down to, like you said, choice.
Yeah, and it's
And
kind of like this podcast that you're doing. I mean, you don't have major sponsors on this. You're not bringing in six figures with this podcast. You're doing this because you have a vision, you have a goal. You're like, I would like to be more positive and help other people be more positive. I think it makes the world a better place. So there's no I mean, would you like to make six figures doing this podcast? Yes, but this isn't your reason. You have a desire to help others and give them tips and tools that they need to be more positive. I mean, what could be more positive than giving a
yeah,
podcast on being positive? I mean, so I think it helps people. I really do.
yeah, and yeah. So, like I said, I appreciate your time today.
No, this has been
And
fun.
this is, like I said, the great thing again about talking to, because every time I talk to you, you might not realize this, but I get something out of it. So there's always some kind of new thought or something else that comes across.
Thanks, man.
And really, again, talking to you through this, because the great thing about I don't know, conversations and things like this is that you read books all the time. Like I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, good one.
Everybody,
Classic.
I think everybody's read that. I've read books by guys in the FBI that have talked about how to win camaraderie and all this and that and the other. But the thing is that those are all different people's opinions. But the fact is that everybody's got a unique experience in life and a unique perspective. And man, you've really put some pieces together for me. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Well,
One last thing.
yeah.
What is a good book recommend that that you could give us that you think would?
Well, there's three that I always recommend. And again, these are just my staples because leadership books come and leadership books go. But I found that these three have stood the test of time. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think that was written back, 60s or 70s, still valuable today. I'm a huge fan of the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that will never go out of style. People are still referencing it today. And John Maxwell, I think, is up to his 87,000th book that he's written. But but
I love John Maxwell.
If you're only going to read one John Maxwell, stick with the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Again, it'll stand the test of time. Now, if there's some Disney fans out there, my friend Lee Cockrell, who was my vice president for a while, wrote a couple great Disney books. One is called Creating Magic, and Creating Magic really gives you a lot of behind the scenes stuff on his tenure as a vice president down there, because he was there when I was there. So we really experienced a lot of the same things, and he really helped change the culture down at Disney. So if you're a Disney fan and like the behind the scenes stuff and the customer service and the employee engagement, what makes Disney tick, Creating Magic by Lee Cockrell, a really good book.
That's awesome. Well, Pete, man, again, I appreciate your time.
You betcha.
And if you want to learn more information about Pete, you can go to PeteBlank.com. He's available to do speaking engagements, and you also do consulting, right? A
little bit of consulting, a lot of speaking engagements on my website. There's a lot of things you can sign up for. A weekly video blog. You can sign up for some of my Alexa flash briefings. If you like this type of motivational stuff, just go to PeteBlank.com. There's a lot of stuff on there for you.
Awesome. Well, Pete, again, thanks for your time, man, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, David, for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day as well.
You've been listening to the Power of Being Positive podcast. To get more tips sent to your inbox, visit powerofbeingpositive.com.